So this is my second time recording this again. What we're going to do is create, as the name implies, the judgment cut effect. But before that, I think it's best to look at like some reference. These two videos are the reference. I come across like Reddit post and I was like, someone was asking how to create this. There was no tutorial. I was like, oh, let me give it a try, and it was kind of fun to make that. So here it is. So before like I think making an effect, I think it's good to like check your reference, like break down your reference. So this is the effect in question. This one, the like rapid slashes, sparks, and all that stuff. If I just go like frame by frame, if we break down, we have like lots of flashes with different color, mainly white, black, and blue one. As you can see, this small explosion types thing happening there are also like this big explosion happening, and if you go like look other, so like this one here, though it's blurry, I can understand it's a little blurry, but if I just for some reason if I go like too high quality, like YouTube just does this. But yeah, you can like more clearly see that there are spark, there is this like this lens flare effect going on. There is again the explosion I already explained, and there are like the blades are like just becoming particles, and we have that. So we have our like kind of 4 to 5 things we have to create. First, random slashes that are white, black, and blue. Then there is lens flare effect. Then there are like the small like explosion type thing. There is one that implosion, like the explosion kind of reverse style. I think it happens at the start, and the if it loads, I can probably show you. So much I should have just downloaded the video. Hopefully it's like yeah like this one. There is like the wind up and like implosion where like lot of like smoke gets like together, and this is I think the end of the attack. So we can like kind of visualize it. First we have a small like so from what I noticed, what happens is you start slashing. Okay, there are slashes and stuff. There are random lens flare, and lens flare like they look like this, like you can see lens flare, this thing, like they look similar. You can find like lot of pattern online if you want to search. Then there is like wind up that happens at the end. There is like this implosion, like the wind up happen, like the sphere explodes. There is like some explosions as well, and some like reverse explosions as well, I have noticed. And there are like particles, but I'm not going to do like particles and that stuff in this video because it might take much time. So let's start with like easy stuff, that is lens flare. And lens flare, what I'm doing is I'm just gonna add a plane. Okay, it's a plane. Don't have to be like too much. I'm going to hide this default cube, and I'm going to do is add a new material, call it lens. Go to shade editor, next shader, parent, and go and here I'm going to use image texture. This one I just kind of created. Let me just put it here. Yeah, so this is kind of like sparks. If not saying that much because we don't have effective, I just like go to always in compositor mode, use node, and just use do. I just reduce the threshold and just saturate with that, and just you can see it's little sparkly thingy. How to create this texture, what I did was just got into texture paint, like created this new texture and just like painted some stuff like this, and then like just reduce it and just did this. Okay, just that. But you can download like multiple map if you just like search lens flare circle and use whichever you want. After you get the plane, what you can do is just make it small, put keyframe here. You just open up a drop sheet, and then just scale it and put a keyframe. Maybe if you want to rotate, you can rotate. And also just add constraint track to and select camera. It's always like tracked to your camera and stuff. Or maybe it's not rotating something. So it will look at your camera, and if you just go like this, so it's like make it shorter, so it kind of looks like spark. And honestly, you won't see the difference here, and just like if it's here, turn it away, so it just kind of just disappears. And you can like it's not like showing, but after you have all the slashes and stuff, it was easy, that's why I started with this. Let's start with the little bit like complicated one, which is slashes. To create slash, I'm going to use geometry node. I think there are other ways to do it. Geometry node is the painful way I think of this. So first I'm going to just name it slash. Okay, slash. We don't need the cube disconnected, and what we're going to use is actually arc curve, and it looks like this, and you can see it kind of looks like a slash. Now like this is a slash, but it's a curve. To make it slash looking, like we need some geometry, so we are going to do this, convert to mesh, curve to mesh. Instead of adding a profile curve, which line, what we are going to do is we are going to extrude. We are doing extrusion because what this does is it's like not doing the curves properly. It's like if it should like go like this, but if we do like extrude mesh and select edges, it kind of does that. But to be more accurate, what you can do is capture attribute and capture normal, and just connect the normal here and normal to the offset, so it's like more accurate. And you can see it's like kind of slash, but it's not slash, it just looks like a O, and O, or it looks like a C. Okay, to make it more slash like, we need it to be like here it needs to be thin and here it needs to be thick. So for that, what you can do is you can use spline parameter and the factor setting. The factor is basically checks the whole curve, and you're like starting it's 0 and end it's 1, and be in the middle it's from 0 to 1, and it's useful. But to use here it does not show up, so we have to use capture attribute and use it here. So if I just like see, you can see here, and do that, you can see like there is this offset scale is 0 and here it's 1, and it looks like a slash, but I want like something that's thin on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use float curve. You can always also use like a color ramp. So like if I do this and use this, so it's like kind of thickness, it has thickness. Okay, and if I just multiply with like 1.5, it's a better, like it's like slash, and I can control also the thickness of it with this. You're gonna use like color ramp, and just do like, okay, you can use color ramp, but I'm just gonna use float curve. After we have our kind of base slash, what we need is slash animate. And to animate, what we have to do is 3 things. First, slash appears and disappears, and second, it kind of grows, or you can say it kind of not grows, but it kind of just swings. And we can control this with like this sweep angle, like if it's 0, you know, there is nothing, and if I just like, so there is like that sweep. And to do that, what we can do is we can just kind of use something called frame from scene time, and we can use this. Actually, yeah, we have to first convert it to radius, I guess. Yeah, so as you can see, it's like increasing. It's basically like going 1 2 3 4 2 till it's like 88, right? So it's going to be 88. So it's same here, but it's increasing. But we don't want it to be that slow, so we have to do is basically map range and say we want the slash to end in like 5 frames. I think 5 frames is like more than enough, so we have to do 5, and we have to select this one to 300, and yeah, it's a 5. So it's kind of doing that sweeping animation. Next problem is it stays there, it has to disappear, and to make it disappear, what you can do is simply just delete the geometry after like 5 frames. And what we're going to do is we're just going to use, honestly I think it gets better to use group input here. I'm going to connect it here, call it duration frame, and I'm just going to like duplicate here and use this. Actually we need this value as well, screen time. is it less than, if it's less than 0, that means the animation have not started, so just delete it. But on the other hand, if it's greater than, yeah, we also want it to be deleted. So if I just go like C here, which is set to be, yeah, it's set to be 0, it has to be more. So if I just go here, deleted, yeah, you can see. And yeah, remember also to connect it to group output, so you can see like it's there, and it get deleted after the 10, so it will get deleted when it's 11th frame. Alright, so we have a sweeping angle. But then again, the next problem is again with the timing, that okay, you started but it's only starting at 0. How can I have it on different time? We can do that by just subtracting by like some 10 or something. So now it will start at like frame 10. But yeah, you can see there is an issue. The issue is because we are starting our animation different, so we have to like, for the deletion of this thing, we also have to use different. So if do that, yeah. And let me just also I did not connect it, or I am also deleting the node before 0, because like what we are going to use is we are going to use this node called zone, and if I just left it right before 0, it will just have unnecessary vertices and it can be a little laggy. So yeah, I'm deleting it like before and after the whole animation is done. So we have time and stuff. So now we should like rotate the slash. This is just like on the this axis, we have to rotate it, and we can just rotate it by transform geometry, rotate it here. Like there is no issue, but there is, which is this one, as you can see. Oh, that's why I was not using normal. So yeah, remember to put like transform geometry after you extrude the mesh, because normal is kind of wonky. Okay, that's why. So you can basically like rotate it now, but we want a random value. We are using geometry node, so what we can do, random value, and yeah, it's showing the error. What you can do is just put a value here. It's rotated, but in max you should pi times 2, so it selects from like 0 to 360, and 360 degrees, because pi means like 90 degrees, so 2 times pi is like 360 degrees, so it will give like random rotation. And if you change the side, you can see it's rotating randomly. And why is this important? Because now what we're going to do is we're going to have multiple slashes with repeat zone. We are going to connect the end of our whole setup here and connect it to the geometry output. You probably notice, like if you're following along, if you just increase the stuff, it's not going to change. You know why? Because well, there are two reasons. First, the road, this thing is same, so they are probably overlapping. So to have different random value, you have to have more iteration. But now the other problem is, because how repeat zone work is, you have the geometry here, the end geometry, then it just kind of sends it here back, but we don't have anything connected to this, so it just kind of just gets deleted, and it just loops until you have like last iteration or last thing, and only that thing get passed. So it's like playing. So to have the geometry, basically you just need to like join geometry. Okay, if you use it, you will understand. So if you just join geometry, you can see all the like different iterations. So if I go like 5, this is the 5th one. If I just like bypass it, it's this is the 5th one, and this is the 6th one. And if I just like go geometry node, like 6th one disappeared, now 5th one will disappear. So yeah, it's kind of cool, and you can like randomize using the iteration. I didn't know that was a useful thing. You can also randomize the scale of it, just saying use iteration, and yeah, just 1.5, and in minimum also just remember to put something like 0.8, so it doesn't go too small as well. Okay, also you could technically just use like something like float. Okay, so 0.8 and consistent, it's not like little wobbly wiggly, but if you want, you can keep it wobbly wiggly. I'm not gonna. So we have our basic like animation, and it's slow because it's 10 frame. If we just reduce to 3, so it's like, you can see there is slash, but you can also see like it's happening at the same time. So how do we have start at a different frame, and you can probably already guess what we're going to do is we are just going to change this subtract value after the frame. So random value node, and I'm going to use integer because the frames are like in integers, I guess, and I'm going to give max and min value, and I'm just going to put iteration here and this here, and you can see like yeah, there are slash. I only have like 6, so it's small, but if I put like something like 20, it's more talking to the animation that we were seeing. Yeah, let me just add a little like useful group input stuff. So here we have minimum and maximum to decide the range, and yeah, I think that should be enough. Oh yeah, so we have slash. For now we need a material. To get the material you could simply just use emission, and I think it works fine. Yeah, I have to like set material. So yeah, it's like kind of looks like slash, right? Anyway, but you can see they are all the same color. So what should you do? Should you just duplicate and have the different thing? You can. Okay, you can duplicate and change the material, but the better thing you can do is just have in this material a method to change the color. So what I'm going to do is instead of putting it at the end, I'm going to put it here, so it applies each material separately. What I'm going to use is here I'm going to store named attribute, call it color. Okay, I'm going to copy that to color, have index switch right here. Again we are going to use something random value and put in the random value main 0, max 2. We need white, we need light blue, and we also need black, right? So add an item and make it black, and connect this here, connect this to here. So it will do is it will create an attribute for color that we can now use in our shader node attribute and paste it here and set it like this. Let's check if it's working, and I don't think it is. Why is it not working? Like, is it? Yeah, so I figured out the issue. I was like by mistake storing the name attribute and also like applying material to the object that gets joined in, and because they're like kind of bundled up together, so they're same color. So what I did is just like set material to like this thing after delete geometry, and again store name material, call it color, and just again the same thing, index value. And doing that you could like kind of also add like many color if you want. You could get like red or something. Just remember to like increase the number. So yeah, I don't need them, so I'm just going to delete, and I'm just going to put it 2, and yeah, and you can like change the seed and stuff to get like different variation. I'm fine with this. Okay, and we kind of have our slash, except you could see that it's not giving that chromatic effect, that red blue effect, this one. And to have that, what you can do, and it's like material, so you have to go to material setting, and yeah, remember to connect it to emission and use AOV output, call it like lens. Okay, just gonna call it lens distort, set the color to white, value to 1 just in case, then go to passes, like not view layer, shader AOI, use the same name like the one you gave here and select color. Now if you go to like composition, you can see there is this option, and this is basically whichever material that has this node AOV output, they will have like separate pass off. What we are going to use this as a mask. So if we go like to image, and if we have to use this cool filter called lens distort and set it to like I think it's radial, no, I think it's horizontal, and just do that. Yeah, you can see it's giving us like that effect. And is it? Yeah, I don't have transparent. So yeah, if you don't have transparent, there is alpha, it will just go black. They are updating it so it doesn't go black in like the next update, but be a problem. So to avoid that, what we have to do is just make this set alpha, put alpha here. So yeah, you have the alpha, your alpha, and you still have like some of that lens distortion. But what's the issue is it's like going to apply everywhere, like even this spark, and you might want it to be on the spark, but let's just say you don't. So what you can do is use this lens distort mask. I tried putting it here, it doesn't work. Mix color, make fix color, put this here, put your normal image here, and use this other factor. So if you do this, just like sure. I think that was my mistake. Like just had to switch this output, so B and E, and you have lens distortion here, but you don't have it on the flare. Okay, and now you could select, you can have this nice swat thing. Of course, remember to like put this result into Bloom and just connect it to your node and all that good stuff. We are like working slash now, so now let's move on to some other stuff. What do we have? We done with slash, we done with like lens distortion. Actually now you can probably see it as well if I would just like 10, select this, and if I just like reduce it, so you can see it's like a little sparkling that's happening because all the stuff is like too fast. You don't have to care much about it. You could again, like as I use speed zone here, you could try with like some content faces and like for each element, and you could like make use of this to create like sparkle animation of this lens duration. But that's for you to decide out, unless like the video is too long. Let's move on to our next thing, what was explosion and implosion, and then last we will end up with the wind up. Explosion is easy. You just add a invisible sphere, simple, give it texture, call it explosion, and just add emission here and set it to blue and reduce the strength to like 0.1, and this is your explosion basically. So again, I'm going to do is come here, keyframe this, make it so it goes 10 to 0. Okay, and I'm just going to arrange these keyframes. So there are like 2 explosions that's happening, and I'm going to just so here it is the explosion. Simple, it's the same principle. I just scaled it down, made it so it's like invisible in shader node. You could like again use the method like here to just move it away. I think emission one is important because it kind of fades out. Anyway, so it's like a quick effect. If you want, you could do something like where did the sphere displace and just use like a new texture and just clouds or something, like this, so it's more chaotic and stuff. Now we have explosion, and we can like just reuse same the explosion thing to make like something like implosion, the black scale down thing. So just select that, make sure you have a different explosion. I'm just going to call it M. I'm going to make it black. Select it here, select the shader nodes, and I'm going to have like full one because that's important. I'm going to delete this one, and I'm just going to do like object because it's like it's getting smaller. I'm going to reverse scale, so and I'm going to start it like before. So it's the thing about the implosion, I just forgot, you can't use the emission texture, you have to use principled volume. Set it black and just this, and so it kind of does that. But I think the implosion, this one kind of comes at the last, I'm not sure, maybe. So if I just set it like here, like somewhere here, and maybe I think I should have like more density. 1 is like 2 plus 2 to 3 is better, and it should increase 10, as it's getting smaller. So it's like and it should be a little bigger, so it takes more time to just kind of get small, like this. It's going to be like our time to do winding up part. And I also assume like there are different ways to do that. Maybe the simplest way is just, let me just think what is the most simplest way. Maybe just have curve, have it here, and just like this thing, and just like duplicate it, extrude it somewhere like this. Just make sure they're automatic and stuff. So just like just go into 3D spreads, like move it here, 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 something like that, and just like duplicate and just rotate it so we have curves, and the curves don't match exactly. Just do this, just selection to active, and I didn't want it up there, but it's like here. Okay, we have that, and now I think I can again use, actually let me just click the material, black one, use geometry set. I think there is probably some way to do it without, maybe trimming curves. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to use, I'm familiar with geonodes, so I'm going to use that. I'm going to use scene frame. Actually no, what I'm going to do, because of having this chaotic line, is we are going to first convert mesh. Okay, extrude the mesh, extrude the edges, and extrude the edges as to the normal. So if I just click here, it should work. Yeah, it's working, and just reduce it like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim curve, and I'm going to trim it like this. Okay, so it's like 0.8. Okay, 0.8, and I can control them with like simply just value and subtract this by 0.2. So you will have it here and have the normal value here, and yeah, if I just like change it, it will like come here or something like. But it's ooh, that's an issue. Oh, my cat. Okay, package this parameter here, factor check here, check this out here. Okay, that's an issue. I didn't thought that could come. So is there a way to just do that? Is there a way? Okay, this is me recording later because some issues. Okay, anyway, the audio is recorded differently from the video. I did edit the curve, just take a point, move it, and just like take the end and move here. Maybe it's because I extruded or something, but they're basically flipped. So after just revising this two curve animation kind of work, then I just put keyframes in the value so it animates, and then I adjusted so it comes after the slash, so it looks good. But then there was like some distortion effect if you noticed it, and to get that I thought, oh, let's go to shader, put AOV output like I did the others, called it distort, added pass, and I used a node called displace. I put noise texture in vector and turned off the auto normalize so it doesn't like go up like that, and I adjusted some setting and to only distort at the strip level. Of course we have the pass, distortion pass. I blurred it and then multiplied so it's like 1 or 2, you know, like white means 1, black means 0. So I just put that in the X and Y of the distort sides, and so yeah, I added a background HDRI from Polyheaven so I can see the distortion effect good. Then I adjusted noise texture and multiply so it like until it looks good. Okay, I don't think there is perfect number, so I eyeballed the values, so yeah, they're not perfect. Okay, just try and figure it out. Anyway, this is how they look. And this is with the blank. It's done, but wait, I can automate this with geonode, so I added mesh line and then randomized the endpoint so it like goes out from middle, and then I resampled it to 3 curves so I can add a little distortion like noise, and then I use repeat range so it just kinda has this lot of like we have a lot of curves. Okay, that's what I did, and join geometry so it is there, and then after doing that, from the repeat zone output I put a set position node and use noise texture added with the position field to create some randomness basically, and I adjusted the value, also turn off the normalization, and To smooth it out, I added resample curve, so there are more points, and affiliate curve, that's what it's called, and just adjusted the setting like poly or something until I felt like, oh, that's good. Also, to have noise increase as like it goes far away from the middle, I use geometry proximity node and put point as input, and use this distance value as a scale for like a vector scale math node. Okay, so it's like basically using point with the geometry proximity give in distance basically gives you like how far points are, the geometry is of anything from the middle point. Okay, because the point is set to 0 0 0. So the further it was going from the point, the more noise there was. And then yeah, I just connected it to our already set up node of stream curve and stuff, and it looked fine. But I did just added the similar thing I did to animate the flashes, use the frame subtract to like decide start point, map range to decide duration and stuff, and delete geometry at the end of the stuff. So it's like more controllable, basically precise control. And just like I thought, oh, let's add some random variation to starting point. So I just added a random value node in the repeat zone, and I captured the attribute. I stored a named attribute, called it something, and stored a random variable in repeat zone for each line. Okay, so then I could use named attribute, put the same name, and just subtract it from the frame, screen frame, where there was the starting point. Yeah, a little like variation, imperfect to perfect and visuals and stuff. But yeah, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Yeah, just note all geometry setup, like all files are in the link in the description, so you can just watch it if you don't understand the explanation. Okay, and yeah, that's how it looks. This is the end. I hope you learned something. I don't know if this is not like that proper. Maybe I'll make something proper next time. I don't know. Like one cool idea about this like animation nodes in geometry. Doing this I could like create animation things. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you don't understand, like comment or something. And this is 4.2, so not 4.2, 4.5. So yeah, bye.